here to take us behind the curtain of the 2025 Clash World Championship and share what it's really like stepping onto that stage for the first time, Mr. C of Millesime MG. We'll talk about the preparation, the pressure, and the payout right now on Reddit Talks Clash.
What are we calling this? Is this a podcast?
Red Talks Clash.
Today, we have C-Man from Millesime MG fresh off their 4th place in the whole world finish on Clash Finals last week. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'm good. This is the first time you've talked to Sam, I think, right?
Yeah, I know. I think we've been in game chat a little bit, but
And then and we have Liam here as well.
Hello.
Yeah, let's get straight into it. Mr. C, man, I still am not used to saying Mr. C, even though it's been months. So yeah, just go ahead and for the people who aren't familiar with you, because you're a newer face on the pro scene. So yeah, just tell us about your Clash journey, how you started and how you ended up where you are now.
yeah. So I guess currently I'm a pro player for Millesime MG. Started with them back in May. Started playing kind of the same as I feel like most people my age, just with elementary school friends. You know, everyone in the class was downloading Clash of Clans, right? So gotta join in. Stuck with it for a couple of years there. It's kind of funny. I have some really old like screenshots of like me at Town Hall 9, for example, super rushed with, you know, everything like Town Hall 6 level, like the purple walls. So, you know, level 1 heroes. It's kind of humble beginnings, right? And then I think during the COVID years is kind of when I really like picked back up and got more interest in, you know, taking the game a little more seriously, just because, of course, it's pandemic. Everyone's got infinite time, and that happened to be the thing that I picked to focus on. So right around then, you know, started leveling up my base a lot more significantly. I joined up at the time with a clan called Less Than Zero, which is, I think, Rick, you might have been in that clan for some time,
Yeah,
actually. And that was also around the time that I started watching Clash with Eric, you know, pretty much his videos daily. For those who don't know, it's a guy who casts a lot of live esports wars, and I just thought it was super cool, super interesting. Like every day during lunch, I'd watch that daily video, and you know, the esports format just really was kind of interesting to me. But of course, at the time, I was still like 2 town halls behind the max level, so I couldn't really do much to compete myself. But you know, still just tried to keep upgrading. And I think at that point, I really describe it as like a series of progressively knowing more people that like are able to build more connections. So, for example, that clan, when that fell apart, me and a couple other clanmates followed Rick to what is now the Good Guys, the clan that I've been with for many years, where I met people like Trample, Damage, and others. Key among them doesn't really play anymore, but Pearly, who was a former player with the Good Guys, he at the time was playing some esports matches with a team. This was right around the time that I'd finally gotten my town hall up to the max level, so he invited me to join a team with him, which I thought was pretty cool. Played a couple of super casual, you know, matches around like Town Hall 14 was when I first started doing esports. I still remember like the first match and just like kind of funny. It was just a, you know, regular old community tournament, but we got to play against a pretty good opponent. I think it was like VN esporting back when they were a team. So
Oh yeah.
it was kind of funny to just play against some of those guys that I had, you know, seen on stream and stuff. And I actually got a triple in that first match, so that was pretty fun. Played with that team for a little bit. That team kind of evolved into Method to Madness, which was the esports team that I played with for pretty much all of Town Hall 14. Well, the back end of Town Hall 14, then all of 15 and 16. Yeah, that team was comprised mostly of players from USA and Canada. We definitely, you know, we were not bad, but we were not like top level competitive either. come around to Town Hall 17, and kind of funny because at this point, I never really envisioned myself becoming like, fully immersed in everything or whatever. But at that point, I've made my uh, esports like Twitter account, profile, and I got to do the classic like free agency post that everyone does. So put one of those out and wound up on a team called Next Gen Esports. That was the first time I kind of went to more of an international team, and yeah, it's just like I think that team stuck together until April, so like 5 months or so. But we had a pretty nice result in one major tournament in March. So I think that was the first time that I played like on camera. We got to the final 8 of a major tournament, and so that was pretty cool getting to do that. Following the disbanding of Next Gen, that's when I once again had to put out the free agency post, and at the time I had a really good month of April, so I had some nice stats to put out there, like, hey, here's me with my 70% hit rate from April, and MMG saw that, and they wanted me to join the team. So at that time, they were kind of dealing with a couple of players that had gotten banned. There was a whole ban wave this year in esports, so they had to replace a couple guys, and I ended up being one of those. And from there, it was just kind of off to the races. We started out hot in May, qualifying to the top 8 of the monthly finals, and then of course got another one of those bans ourselves, so we didn't actually get to compete there. But at that point, we kind of just kept building throughout the year, and I think starting in August was when we really like hit our stride, and second place in August, first place and the golden ticket in the last chance qualifier, and then competed in Worlds.
Pretty impressive stuff. I mean, it's pretty fair to say not many people get to go to Worlds. I mean, full stop, go to Worlds, let alone even compete in it. I mean, it's only really a handful of people that have ever competed in it. So was there anything that really stood out to you in your experience there? Because obviously, I doubt any of us are gonna be in that position anytime soon.
Yeah, I think just like a couple things about it. There's like just the overall like grandeur of it, right? I mean, like
Hmm.
just competing on stage is just crazy. I mean, there's all the lights and the smoke machines going, and like it's really the crowd making noise. So it's just like all of the aspects that don't factor in at all when you're just playing, in your bedroom or whatever. It's like that, and then also just like being there with all of the people that you have talked to online for however many years, and content creators, and it's just like totally weird that my day-to-day life, right, there's pretty much like no one that actually cares about this game, and then here's like 200 people of probably the people who care the most about it in the world, and that's kind of cool to get that all together.
Did you find it that helped you, like having a crowd kind of cheering you on, or did it make you stressed out of oblivion?
So it's interesting. I think the first day in general was kind of just stressful because not really knowing what to expect, but then on top of that, like the 3 teams that I'd say had sort of the loudest fan support were Elevate, Tribe, and Repotted Gaming, and we played
Hmm.
Elevate first. So like right away, I was in one of those matches with the crowd, defense, defense, and all the stuff that it was kind of like, and the noise canceling on stage was like pretty good, but you could definitely still hear it. I wouldn't say it was like helpful per se, just because
Hmm.
they were kind of rooting for the other team for the most part, but it also wasn't like that big of a factor, I don't think.
In a sense, then, how does the whole world stuff work? Like when you're backstage doing all like the war preparation, walking up onto the stage. What's the whole process that we just do not see at all?
Yeah, so I guess just as like background information for people who don't really participate in esports, right? Like the common format, it's hosted within Friendly Wars, 5 minutes of prep time, 45 minutes of battle day. And then normally, you'll either be the first team to go or the second team, and the first team to go will start their first attack around 37 minutes on the battle day timer. So you get like 8 minutes to prep that first attack. Whenever there's like live events, that's like the monthly finals, last chance qualifier, or in this case, worlds, they do it a little differently because they need to like prepare the on-screen graphics of like who's attacking who. So you have to like lock in your attack order within the first 5 minutes of battle day. You have to have your base claimed. You have to know what order your team is going in. And then at the World Championship itself, there's the extra layer of having to like go out on stage. So there's also the component where they physically have to like take your devices from you and then transport them on stage. So after that first 5 minutes of prep time, you're basically without your device. You can't look at your plan at all for the next the worst one that we had was like 20 minutes on the first day when they were still trying to get things started for the Elevate match. So it's like you got to go up there, and then once you get out on stage, do the walk up. At that point, pretty much what you see in real time of like once you get up there, you got to kind of remember your plan, make any final tweaks to the army, and then go in whenever they tell you to.
And like the accounts you use, the devices you use, are they all your accounts and your devices, or do they kind of give you stuff like accounts to use and devices to use?
Yeah, so 99% of what you do in esports will be like on your own account. In the case of like only the World Championship, they did give us devices. You could either choose an iPad or an iPhone. I chose a phone because I'm weird, and they also gave us maxed out accounts to use.
Okay, cool.
And so, talking about your team's performance, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think from a large scope, right? Obviously, huge success this year. I mean, I know like on Saturday when we'd first gotten eliminated, it was definitely like a little bit of a down time, just because it's like, oh man, we could have gone farther and all this. But in hindsight, right, looking at the whole thing, if you go back even 1 year, right, when I'm playing for small team next gen esports, if you tell me that I'm going to go to the World Championship and make it to 4th place there, like, come on, it's super cool just having the overall thing.
Yeah, it's pretty like, oh, this is awesome. And so when you see like the bases in the world, like how are you deciding who attacks what, or what did you specifically look for?
Yeah, so one of the things about our team is that like I think starting in August, that's when we really like got into a flow of knowing our roles on the team. Like in July, we did also make it to the monthly finals and we competed there, but I think we were not 100% locked in with like, all right, you're going to be the first attacker, the second attacker. By the time we get to August, we've kind of worked out a nice order that really works for us. So Isma and myself would be the first 2 attackers. And in that, like in any team, you kind of have to have 2 different types of players. You have to have people who are, willing to go first, go early, and kind of just like pick out a base that works well for them. And then you have to have players that are able to kind of take any base, like the bases that are left over, and then formulate potentially a more complex plan on those. And so I historically have fallen into the first category where I'm a little bit better at like making a quick plan. So we'd have our usual attack order. In terms of like who attacks what, it oftentimes would come down to just like, me and Isma, because we went early, we would get like our first pick of whatever base we wanted. And then the other 3 guys would kind of sort out from there. It's like, all right, what do we think we have something to see on, it goes from there. And then like, what do I look for? I mean, I think there's no secret, and probably no secret to our opponents as well, that, I did a lot of log launcher attacks this year. And unfortunately, I think because it was because it was pretty well known, they had a lot of good defenses against those type of bases. So I was first and foremost, looking for bases for my primary strategy. But beyond that, just anything that I saw a quick plan on, really.
So let's go through a little bit about each of the 4 wars you guys did. 'Cause you went 2 and 2, obviously double elimination. So the first war you guys came out, it was the first war of the whole tournament, wasn't it?
Yep.
First war, versus Elevate. It was 10-10. You guys lost on percent. It was real close too, because that was the war Ness had that 99%, right?
Yeah, it was.
If you could just give us a little bit about your thoughts on each of these, we'll work through them in order.
Sure. Yeah. So Elevate, like you said, was the first match of the entire tournament. And so I think that one was a little weird just because I don't think they had the production process necessarily super ironed out by that point. So
Yeah, that was the one where I think they had your name as Synthé.
yeah, that, and they played the wrong walkout video for us. They played Rapata Gaming's walkout video, which was I know a lot of people that were watching on the stream were telling me after oh, we wanted to see your video, but they didn't play it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It was kind of funny because the backstage guy, he was super nice, but he was not happy that they played the wrong video. I think he was trying to figure out who's responsible for that or whatever. But anyway, the other thing that was kind of not so great about that one is I remember, because when we were backstage, we had a TV that showed what was going on the stream, and we could see that when we started the war, it was stream is starting in 17 minutes. Okay, so we started this thing way earlier than we really needed to, and so but they still had to follow the same rules of within 5 minutes you have to give up your device. And so I think for the first one, part of the reason it was 10-10, a little lower scoring, was because they took our devices and then we had to wait 20-25 minutes before going out on stage. So I think everyone just picked a days real quick, completely forgot their plan in those 20 minutes, and then had to come back and work on it. But yeah, I mean, real close war, could have gone either way. I know there were a couple plans that were close. I think my plan was close if the log launcher didn't go down early. I was definitely surprised that it was as defensive as it was, but also, with them being our first opponent, and I'm sure it was the same for them, we put probably the most defensive time into prepping for them. So I think we kind of knew what to expect from them, and they probably knew what to expect from us. And we were able to put out some bases that were able to hold it to 10-10.
All right. Real quick before we talk about Carry Esports, this is the one time I'm probably going to clown on you, but your little pose videos, was that you trying to do a bow and arrow?
That was the intent, yeah.
You've never shot a bow, right?
No, I've not.
No, yeah, it was just, that was funny. Anyway, Carry Esports is was later towards the end of day 1. You guys faced Carry, knocked them out, sent them home, 12-11 win. And this was back and forth. This was it was a roller coaster, and it came down to a very final attack. You guys were down. They just needed a 2-star to win. A player named Chian attacked and ended up getting a 1. How does man, walk me through the roller coaster on that one.
Yeah, so going back just for a second to those videos too, the
Sure.
whole media day thing was just a crazy experience. We were going around filming all sorts of content, so you had to come up with a million different poses to do, and it was just a funny it was very different than I think what everyone was used to. But yeah, so Carry Esports, I think that so it started out hot, right? Isma got a triple on the first attack. Yeah, like you said, kind of back and forth throughout the whole time. But eventually we end up in this position where they only needed 2 to win. I think at that time on stage we were all kind of, like, all right, it was a good run, guys, and whatever. You know, I think if we had gone out there, like, I mean, we were the last chance qualifier team. We were a team that didn't really fully come together until August. So I don't think anyone would have been like surprised if that's where we ended. But we get into this attack, and I think every time, like, there were a bunch of different things that started slowly going wrong, and each time we started going a little more crazy, right? So he did his queen charge, and first he starts running into a bunch of traps, and it's like, okay, he went to the baited corner. He loses his queen ability. We're like, okay, nice. Pulls the recall and misses the healers. We're like, okay, this is going good. And then I think what really kind of sent us was when he then sent the troops on the opposite side away from the town hall. I think, and what he had later said was that he didn't realize his healers hadn't been picked up by the recall spell.
Oh,
So when he then, placed the troops in the far corner, the healers all just crossed the map and completely died. And so that's the point where we all started kind of like thinking there was a real shot, right? Then when we kind of knew it was good to go was when his warden ability got forced out early. And at that point, like, we knew, Adi, who built the base, was standing up, going crazy. So it was once we got to that point, we kind of had a good feeling about it. And then, obviously, you hate to see it from Carrie's side. I mean, they had a good year. They, made it to Worlds, but just a real unfortunate way to go out. But, I'll never apologize for a win, right? Like, it's
yeah.
we move on, so it's that was a crazy war for sure.
Yeah, like it happening last is kind of like we always want to try and make a narrative about it too. Like if that had been the first attack of the war, the story would have been like you guys had it in the bag the whole time, instead of it feeling like like a last second save. But yeah, that was Carrie. Next morning, you guys showed up and had to do you had to go against Dizzy, 1-11-10 there. Tell me about that war.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one because I think the two teams throughout the year, like the whole year, that we had the kind of least success against were DZ and Repotted, which is kind of ironic given how things ended up going. But we knew it would be a tough matchup. This ended up being, like, I want to say, the fourth match of the day on stream, and so we had the opportunity to like be in the crowd and watch DZ versus Tribe to like see who our opponent was going to be. Whoever lost that match was going to be our opponent. And I don't think we had a strong preference between either one, to be honest. But when it ended up being DZ, when you play them, you kind of have to play a little different than other teams just because they have so many attackers that are so proficient with like the fireball, rocket loons style of attack. So definitely have to watch out, like Sinte, for example, Darkstar, they're all extremely talented. So you can't necessarily put out like the same type of bases you would against every other team. And I think that one is another just testament to our defensive efforts, right? Like, we put a lot of time in ahead of time prepping these bases. And so they were a very strong offensive team. And the fact that we were able to hold them to 10,
Yeah.
just, that's all in the preparation. So I think, that one, I know my plan on that one, the RC took a very slight wrong turn and I didn't pick up the Crusher. And I think if I did pick up the Crusher, it would have been a completely, easy triple. But I think I ended up in like the high 80s on that one, maybe.
Holding two of those teams to 10 stars is definitely impressive. For who was your builder, if you want to shout him out?
Yeah, so we had a couple of builders. The primary builder, who honestly did so much for our team, Just Drums. He joined us, I want to say, like around July, so right around the time we started, making some noise. But having a good build, and just to shout out some of the other key players as well. Ged built some bases for us. Adi obviously built a couple bases for us. We had a couple other builders that, helped out in smaller capacities, but I think those were the main guys that, had their bases up for us at the end of the day. Yeah, it's really just like a lot of testing, a lot of retrapping, a lot more preparation goes into it than you would think on the surface.
And then finally, your last war, the one, your second loss to Rapata Gaming, 14-11. That was like, man, that was an impressive war from there, and for sure. You lost your RC really early on this one, so I was curious, like, what was going through your head on that, and then like what was going on in the mics, and what was your team telling you then?
Yeah, that one was kind of frustrating, and just because obviously it's kind of like one of those freak accident, like 1 in 1,000 type of situations where RC just gets sucked onto the enemy hero, and I'm sure it's happened to everyone who's tried an RC charge at some point. I was pretty frustrated by it at the time, just because things hadn't necessarily gone my way throughout a lot of the tournament, and I thought the plan was really, really strong as well. Even having talked to like some of the guys from Repotted afterwards, like my plan was not one that they had baited for. So I truly think it would have worked if, the RC didn't go down. But I mean, once it does, it's just like I've never seen an RC go from 100 to 0 that quickly and die through ability and everything. It's just, I don't know, weird moment. But at that point, all you can really do is just secure the 2. And so that's what I did, right? Just kind of send everything at the town hall, rack up as much percent as you can, and something like that. It's going to happen to someone, So just unfortunate, but I don't know. It happens, right?
Yeah. Were you guys talking about like what to change live in that moment, or was that just kind of more on you, or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely, it was very nice having the team in the headset and able to kind of help point out different things, spotting like, oh, you can pick up percentage with an archer here, or you can, I think the suggestion to place the 2 invisibility to redirect everything at the town hall, that was, something that came from the team. So it's definitely nice in a situation like that. And even in a situation where things are going to plan, it's nice to have the team, live on voice, spotting and helping out.
Yeah, I mean, just watching that attack, I remember thinking, how unlucky is it that your RC has gone for the hero there? Because I mean, it basically does just feel random, and yeah, that was just unfortunate. But moving on from that painful day, what was the kind of training like leading up for Worlds? As in, did you do anything different to normal, or was it kind of business as usual in terms of just regular tournaments?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that we did was we actually kind of stopped playing in community tournaments, and most teams that went to Worlds also kind of did the same thing, where I mean the basic premise is just you don't want to give up any more like scouting information to your opponents. Just because everyone's got people that are checking out the other teams and seeing what kind of entries they like to use, and obviously we were doing the same. So I think we kind of did we fell in line there, so a lot of our training ended up being like just done through friendly challenges and kind of testing
Yes,
bases
saw a
as
lot of them in
well.
chat.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, just try to pick out some of the best bases from previous months to practice on, as well as like testing our own bases. I think a lot of it, kind of nice when you're base testing, you're also getting practice attacking. I think we spent the majority of our effort training like the defenses, and I think that kind of showed in the end scores, right? I think we were either like the best or second best defensive team overall, but Offensively, not so much. But I think the way we approached it, I think was pretty good. I mean, it showed up in the defensive performance for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you can let all the secrets out now. Was there anything you did to prepare for specific teams? I mean, you knew all 7 of them coming into the tournament. Did you have a plan for every single one?
So every single one, not so much. Well, like we had a sort of a basic idea, but when you're in a tournament with like the double elimination format like it is, you know that you're guaranteed for the 4 teams on like your side of the bracket, right? You're guaranteed, well, so I guess 3 opponents and yourself. Of those 3 opponents, you're guaranteed to play at least 2 of them, no matter what. So I think we and pretty much every team would spend the most time preparing for the people on our own side of the bracket. And then once you get into like day 2, that's where it changes and you got to kind of analyze on the fly a little bit more. We had 2 analysts that we that were helping us keeping track of the other teams. I think we mainly focused on, you know, like what were their entries going to be, how can we potentially trap them.
And like conversely, did you notice any teams kind of plan against you in a certain way? And do you think it worked well, or do you think you were able to overcome it a lot of the time?
It could just be my own bias, but like we did have 2 people on our team that would really, you know, use the log launcher army a lot throughout the year. And I feel like they put out a lot of bases that were good at stopping that army, you know, and just the core of that being like a center town hall bases, like with a bunch of builders, because then it's like kind of awkward to actually take the town hall at any point during the attack. I don't know if those were like specific adjustments because of any scouting reports or just the bases they thought were doing well, but I feel like I did notice a trend that, you know, a lot of the ways that I might typically attack where they didn't look super promising on the bases that were out there.
Could you talk about a bit what the breakdown for the prize pool is between like the players and the builders and maybe the organizations?
Yeah, so I guess as everyone knows, right, because they show it on stream, we won $60,000 at the tournament, which, you know, super cool. First of all, never thought that I'd be, you know, looking at numbers anywhere close to that for, you know, a video game that I play, right? Different teams have different breakdowns and how they do it. In our case, we had to, you know, we had an agreement in place where we had to pay a small percentage of the winnings to the sponsor. We also contracted out several builders and analysts that we had to, you know, pay a percentage to. But I do think that, you know, I haven't run the exact numbers. Unfortunately, you know, got to factor in like taxes too. But of the 60,000, I'll probably end up taking home like somewhere between 9 and 10,000.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll take it, right?
And so, do you have like what are you gonna do with your winnings?
Yeah, you know, people ask that, but I'm kind of a boring guy when it comes to that. Like, I'll probably just put a lot of it away in savings, you know.
Oh, that's too boring and irresponsible. Come on. Where's the Vegas weekend trip?
Yeah, maybe I'll have to get a, you know, an iPad finally. Like everyone, so many of the players that I talked to were trying to convince me to switch over, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's right. You were one of the few people like playing on a phone instead of a tablet there.
That's just the way I've preferred to do it historically. So we'll see.
Yeah, go get yourself a tablet with your money, I would say, and like you'll never go back. It just it gets annoying like if I'm like out and about doing stuff or traveling or whatever, and then needing to do my hits on my phone. I hate it. Like I hate the side scroll and everything. But it's rough, man. What's next? I know it's only been a week since Worlds and waiting on the next update to reset everything. But you know, what are your plans as far as staying competitive? Both you and all of Millesime.
Yeah, so right after Worlds, the last couple of years they've always done it where the next town hall is like following up by 2 to 4 weeks after the World Championship. They kind of bring it out pretty quickly, and it is also kind of like the off season for esports. There's not a lot of community tournaments. They mostly kick back off like probably start of the new year, give or take, right? That's when just get back going. They want to give people time to, level up their town halls a bit and get everything ready for the new level. But I'm definitely coming back next year myself. I think as far as I know, everyone from MMG will be coming back. There'll definitely be, some potential changes in rosters. And this is always kind of the time of year where there's like a whole big like free agent frenzy as well. There's teams that are looking to add a player. There's teams that are disbanding, teams that are reconfiguring. And this morning as well, the, Millesime MG made the announcement on Twitter that, at least this group of 5, this is kind of where our road will end. Not to say that there won't be any kind of like rebuilt team next year, stay tuned, I'll say. But yeah, definitely looking forward to coming back next year.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you are the kind of player I think is, if you stick at it, you keep to it, you can definitely get back there again. 4th place, dude. That's so. Yeah, like me and Trample were out there watching, and just like both of us just say, man, I hope they're not disappointed with this because it's top 4 clans in the world. Such an amazing accomplishment. Yeah, you mentioned waiting for the next update. So then, is there anything that you are like really hoping Town Hall 18 brings to the game?
I mean, I think what stereotypical answer would be is just like more variety on the offensive meta. I think like Town Hall 17, they introduced the thrower, which ended up being completely irrelevant at the top level of competition. Furnace, which they brought in an ice block, did have some impact, but also like the revive spell, no impact whatsoever at esports level. So it'd be kind of cool if there's a new troop that's actually viable this time. I feel like the hate for Root Riders is kind of like overstated, in my opinion. It's a good troop because of the mechanic. It's like you can't really change the stats too much to where it's gonna be any different. It's just it is what it is. And but it'd be cool to see something like come out that's competitive with it. Like, for example, you think about like the Grand Warden, and back when they first put out equipment, like there was no reason to not use Eternal Tome, right? Like everyone would always use it. But then when they came out with the Fireball, it's like, all right, now there's something that is equivalently good but completely different. And I think that's probably the best path forward for varying up the offensive meta, is just introducing something else that is, mechanically very good, that can compete on the same level as Root Riders.
Yeah, like it's just been 2 years of Root Riders.
It's quite boring now, to say the least.
I want to do something else, and I had been before the Legends update, where it's hard mode light, and it just like it's one of the few things I can make work in Legends right now. But I was in, there was a little window there where I was really enjoying like Super Yeti Revive, Mass Furnace, all the fun variety stuff that you can get away with in war and normal attacks. But yeah, that's what I think that's what a lot of us are hoping for with Town Hall 18, is just to get away from Root Riders and Dragons. But it's just I just want something new.
One thing that I think kind of helped me like mentally with the framing of it is like I had to think about, it's not like a Root Rider attack, like here's an attack with a long RC charge, here's an attack with a log launcher, here's an attack with a double overgrowth plan. It's like, at least for me mentally, like keeping it interesting, it's like trying to think about the differences in the attacks too. So I guess I imagine that the Root Riders will still be strong at Town Hall 18, just like Lalo was strong for many years. So I guess just, if you're struggling to find fun in it, try and find like different variations to do with it. That's my advice there.
I guess the
all right,
difference was with Lalo, at least he felt like it was a bit more strategic, and I don't know, not that top level route riders aren't, but at least the core route riders is just spamming them in, whereas at least Lalo had a bit more thought into it. But yeah, hopefully we can see the end to route riders in the near future.
All right, I think that brings us to the listener questions then. Starting off, we have from Storm. So I believe the background scenery was the same for everyone, right?
You mean like the in-game like war scenery?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. So it wasn't like mandated to be the same, but they did give everyone on their World Championship accounts like the pre-release of the new scenery. So I think most people just kind of like ran with that because it was new and cool. Yeah, that was kind of interesting just to like give out the pre-release of it. We weren't expecting that. It was just kind of when we were practicing on Thursday, like Thursday evening, we all just like randomly got a in-game voucher at the same time. Like, here's this new scenery. Feel free to use it at the tournament. It's like, oh, cool. So I think most people just ran with that.
New shiny thing.
I don't know if it's the first attack or the second attack, but it was really early in that first war. I saw someone using it, and I'm like, that's not supposed to be out yet. So I was wondering if it was just like maybe you guys were on like one of the builds and had access to it, and I was like, are they allowed to show it? And then as the day goes on, almost everyone had it. So then it was a cool little way to like sneak peek preview it before it went on sale.
Yeah, I know. I assume everyone had obviously had the option to turn off to use a new feature where you could turn off decorations. But could you place decorations on your base? Did you have any decorations that you could move around if you felt like it?
You know, to be honest, I didn't even look. I like so I guess that's one thing about like base building, right? Like oftentimes it'll just be like your builders are making the bases and they'll share a link, then you copy the link, right? So I spent very little time, you know, like scrolling around the building bar looking for decorations or anything like that. I don't I one of the first things I did when I got my like world's phone was go in and hit that don't show decorations button. So I think it played pretty minimal impact for me at least.
Yeah. Speaking of bases, how exactly did the bases make it hard for Log Launcher to work?
Yeah, so I guess like the prototypical base that a log launcher is good for is when there's like, well, so okay, imagine you have like a diamond style base where you maybe have like the town hall near a corner and then kind of like, you know, keeping it at a high level, just like splitting straight down the diagonal line of the base. That is your like line of symmetry. The prototypical base that a log launcher is good for is like that style of base, for example, with like a very thin core. And so different things you can do to like make it hard for a log launcher. You can make a wider core or like a core that's like two halves. So it's not like perfectly on the line of symmetry where you can't like hit both sides of it with the log launcher. You can also put like a lot of builders, like if the town hall is in the middle, I think that makes it kind of more awkward too. Like if the town hall is on an edge, you can either take it right at the beginning or right at the end pretty easily. But if it's in the middle, it's like super high HP building in there. It's kind of weird to take down.
Yeah, so it's all about making it really complicated for that to work. Cool. And then Click B is asking, what was your opinion on what happened to Vatic?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate situation. I know obviously the Vatic players, many of them played for MMG in the past, and a lot of people on our team have, you know, good friendships with some of those players, and we were looking forward to playing them in the last chance qualifier. I still think we would have beat them in the last chance qualifier if we matched up, but it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, if you go by like the strict definition of the rule book, right? Like, yes, it is, I guess, legitimate, but also I think it was probably blown way out of proportion, to be honest. And you know, you hate to see a good team go down without getting a chance to prove it. That's really what it is.
I also thought it was quite harsh punishing the whole team for what happened. Whatever you thought about the actual infringements, I thought Vatic as a whole being disqualified was rather harsh.
Yeah, well, and that was one of the themes of like the whole year too, with the whole ban situation. Like you on the World Championship server, they have a whole spreadsheet of all the players that are banned from this year and like when they're eligible to come back. And it's probably like 200 people on that list. And it's just like in each of those cases, the whole team would get disqualified. Back when we were accumulating like leaderboard points, if you were to get a ban, your entire leaderboard points would be wiped out. So it was definitely harsh, but also like consistent with what they've done the whole year.
At the start of the year too, like y'all got a warning, like heads up, we're taking it seriously this year, right?
Yeah, they did, and I do wish there was more like visibility into what they were actually looking for, because when we made it to the top 8 in the May qualifier and then we got banned, like it ended up being our sub player who didn't play in a single match in stage 2. And we obviously try to inquire like, hey, what's the reason here? What could we have done differently? And it's not always super clear like what the cause of it is. And but yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. I think hopefully it should play less of an impact next year, just because presumably everyone that's been banned, they hopefully will not get banned again unless they do something within this calendar year, right? And like you would think that it should be less of a problem.
All right. Next up, Silent One is saying Fireball seemed to be the strongest go-to for esports mode. Why didn't more people use that opener?
Well, Fireball is an interesting one because it is absolutely very strong, especially if you can get good value with it. If you can take the CC, for example, with a Fireball. Why wasn't it used more? There's definitely good base building techniques you can do against it, and it's risky too. Like think about Kazuma from Navi had 2 Fireball misses, right? So it's just like, and he's an excellent player. He's a really, really good player, but it's just it's a very hard attack to execute. And the other downside with it is that you don't get an Eternal Tome or a Healing Tome. And with the amount of damage that's present on the base, it's really important to have that tome. But yeah, I think Fireball, it's one of those niche things too that like if you practiced it a lot, you'd be very comfortable using it. But if you didn't practice it a lot, it's kind of hard to pull out like on the big stage.
All right. Storm wants to know, were you able to get out and see Atlanta? Do any fun team stuff?
Just a little bit, yeah. I think while we were still in the competition, it was really just all about the competition and obviously trying to make it as far as we could. But on Sunday, I did get a chance to kind of walk around like the Olympic Park Memorial area was like a 15-minute walk from the hotel. So went and checked that out. It was pretty cool. It was raining, but still had a good time.
So Rick didn't manage to drag you to a bar to get smashed then?
No, we did have like the after party, I guess, which was there Sunday night. Yeah, pretty chill.
It was a funny one too, because like the after party was like, it was like on the balcony of a sports bar, so outside. A lot of people just freezing cold because it wasn't that cold. Like I'm fine. I'm from a colder place, so it was like I thought it was nice and crisp out. A lot of people were just like hugging the heaters out there. It was an odd choice, I think, for an after party. Yeah, like it was fun. Like you got to hang out, meet a whole lot of people. Was there anyone you got to meet that you were really excited about? And I'm not just fishing for a compliment here from your trample, but out of
Yeah,
everyone.
no, I like obviously it was super cool to meet the good guys. Just shout outs to the people that came. It was Rick, Trample, Shaw was there, Dobek was there, and Rocco was there. So getting to meet all you guys was like really nice. I also met some of the players that I played with on Method to Madness previously. So Mir and Will were there. it was also cool meeting like Max, for example, just because we were the only American players in the competition. So it was cool to connect with him a little bit, and obviously he's super talented as well. So it's nice to hear from him, and yeah, I think especially too like at the after party, everyone kind of like the tournament's done, so you could kind of talk more openly. Like I spent a lot of time talking with the repotted guys, and they're all super nice, and you know, uh, it's just it was cool because like I mentioned before, in our day to day lives, there's not that many people out there to like really have an in depth conversation about Clash of Clans with. But then you get here, and it's like everyone is kind of on the same level with it, so it's very very cool to meet everyone.
Yeah, and I'm just a bit more personally, how do you find balancing, clashy sports and all the practice and whatnot with just your normal life? Like, are you at university or college or working? Like, how do you manage all that?
Yeah, so it is interesting. Like I'd say definitely the number one demographic is just like college students. But yeah, this year I did start working. Um, I do engineering. I think
Cool.
luckily, I have a kind of like decently flexible schedule where I can like take a break during the day if I need to, use my 15 minutes to go do a quick esports match. I'll do that. If I need to shift my lunch break around a little bit, I'll do that. So definitely, I think it's a nice situation, but it is kind of a tough balance, right? So a lot of times, if I was doing more like serious training, I'd have to do that, obviously at night.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds because obviously you're doing FCs all the time, practicing walls all the time. I just can imagine it's quite difficult to fit around everything. But clearly you do it very well. As came fourth in worlds.
Well, thanks.
Godly wanted to know, what do you think of the meta? Not just offense, but also defense. Lot of newer attacks shown at Worlds that we haven't seen typically. Asymmetrical bases are very strong. 100% of Infernos were multi, and 100% of the crafted defenses were set to Crusher Mortar. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, that is interesting. And like the Crusher Mortar, especially, I think it's interesting because the second that they announced, like even just the concept, before we knew the stats, we all knew the Crusher was going to be the best one, like by far. So I do hope that like the Town Hall 18 crafted defenses bring a little bit more variety, just because like Flame Spinner completely useless. It never hits anything. The Hook Tower is like kind of niche, but it's like, yeah, it's not as impressive as the Crusher, which can just completely demolish an attack. Um, and yeah, I think the asymmetrical thing was interesting, just because in RPG, they're and General X specifically is like one of the most like innovative base building groups out there. So yeah, I think if anyone was going to bring interesting stuff, I'm not surprised at all that it was them. And yeah, obviously we saw a lot of success with it. So it ultimately just comes down to, you know, what works well in testing, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I don't like. I've been thinking a lot about the three different crafting stations before, and like Flame Spitter, it's not like for farming, it's pretty decent. Like if you're trying to defend sneaky gobs, like that thing just bounces gobs like constantly. So it does like I think it has a use. And it's not necessarily in war, and people tend to forget about like thinking about farming and everything else too. So I think Flame Center I think's fine for defending your farming base. Hook Tower, what it could totally hijack a Legends hit out of nowhere. If if you're doing warden walks or whatever, like coming on Hook Tower base, I just felt like nexting and just accepting a 0-star a lot. But and then obviously Crusher was OP, but I don't know. I think it's a good mix.
Like the Hook Tower, it's kind of like the equivalent of like the invisibility spell tower, where it's like if it's maybe a Legends attack or something and you don't have a good plan for it, it can completely mess you up. But then, if you can plan for it, it's like it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and like I think that's fine to have like a war base one in the Crusher Mortar, a Legends one in the Hook Tower, and a farming one with the Flame Spinner. Like it's not always the most interesting if you're focused on only one aspect of the game, but I don't know. I think that kind of variety is also fun to me.
For sure.
Were there any other questions you guys wanted to hit up off this list?
All good from my
I
end.
think we're almost okay.
All right, yeah. So that is where we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for giving us this hour, Mr. C. This is a great conversation. Once again, congratulations to you and the rest of Millesime. 4th place, like I said, is an amazing finish, and you guys definitely can be proud of that. Do you have anyone you want to shout out before we go, Mr. C?
Yeah, so first of all, just thank you guys. This is my first podcast appearance. Definitely kind of cool, and yeah, the overall Worlds experience very cool. But I'll just shout out. I think there were a lot of people, whether it was people from the Good Guys, people from my real life, just tuned in, watched the championship. I think it was very cool. I felt a lot of support throughout the week, just from friends, family, clanmates, everyone that tuned in.
Yeah, I want to say I had a great time meeting everyone, meeting you. We had a bunch of clanmates come out. I met a whole lot of people that I've known through Discord, the Discord mods. Met Godly, Lumia, L, all fantastic people. I had such a great weekend in Atlanta, very short. Got a lot of good advice from a lot of people. I'm going to try and apply to the podcast and to Reddit, and yeah, it was just amazing time. Sam, Liam, do you guys have any shout outs before we go?
No shout outs really. Just wanted to mainly say that watching Worlds, a shame I couldn't be there, but watching Worlds was brilliant. And yeah, Seaman, you were sorry, Mr. C. I'm also not used to it. It's you did a brilliant performance, and coming forth is something that I don't think any of us here could probably ever do. So yeah, congratulations and well done. It's been great having you on to talk about it. And yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. C, for coming on. Really appreciate it. And shout out to all the audience, people asking questions as well.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back. Next time you see us, probably be sneak peek time.
I was about to say, next week, see us there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of Hammer Jam. If previous history leads us to believe it'll be something really fun and good.
What usually comes after Hammer Jam?
We'll see everyone soon. All right. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.